Ping G425 hybrid, been one of the very successful product that we've been using this year. Something that Ping have always been very keen on getting hybrids as usable as possible. So I'm just going to talk about a bit of the tech that's gone into it, why it performs the way it does, and then also what it does and who it might suit. So hybrid-wise, very much aimed at. I mean, the 410 was a little bit more iron-like. 425 slightly deeper. It's a slightly more wood-like head. There's a little bit more of a footprint to look at. So down behind the ball, you're going to see a little bit more club there. So the 410, being a little bit smaller, tended to suit a slightly more iron-like delivery, a slightly steeper, more kind of downward strike. So produced a slightly lower launch and a little bit more spin. This one being a little bit deeper, we'll come on to some of the other tech about it, but certainly has a bit more of a wood feel about it. And it's just changed the flight dynamics a little bit as well. So main changes with the 425. They've got some tungsten weighting into the sole, so through each of the heads, through weight saving, through various other elements we'll come on to, they've managed to position more weight low and further back, increasing MOI, increasing forgiveness, but also lowering the centre of gravity, helping to make it easier to launch. So that's something that you're generally going to see across pretty much every driver, fairway wood, hybrid, irons now as well. Getting that centre of gravity low just helps with a bit of launch angle. Has the added effect of taking a little bit of spin off, but all that also means there's a little bit more distance as well. Coming onto the distance side of it, what Ping have done with this product is rather than welding the face in so that the join is within or on the very edge of that face frame, they've actually extended it round so that the face itself wraps, it's called face wrap, wraps all the way around from just over the top to just underneath. So rather than having a face joined on there, it's actually wrapped around. So what that allows them to do is have a little bit more, it's a very high strength maraging steel, it allows them to have a little bit more ball speed coming off of it, allows them to do a little bit more, the arguments are it's a slightly more stable structure, so therefore they can make it a little bit thinner, they're not worried about the join cracking, they can put a little bit more energy back into the ball. One of the other elements, Ping could have branded Spinsistency with the curvature of the face and the gearing on the face-to-face roll. They're making the spin a bit more consistent across the face. So one of the elements of this is that face extends down a little bit lower than some. So it's a deeper extension of the face rather than rolling around. You roll it around too much, you're actually losing loft at the very bottom of the face. That creates lower launch and actually kicks a little bit of spin off. So they've managed to extend that face down a little bit lower. So particularly for the hybrid clubs you're hitting off the ground, we want that loft at the bottom of the face to help keep that elevation. You roll it off too much, you're essentially turning loft down as you get near the bottom of the face. Now normally if you hit it off the bottom of the face, it comes out low. If you turn the loft down, it's coming out even lower. So that helps get that the bottom of the face into the bottom of the ball. That helps utilise the centre of gravity further back, getting the ball flight up and flighting. Within the model, they've got 8 different heads. So you go from a 17-degree 2 hybrid, 19-degree, 22, 26, 30, and even up to 34 and a 7 hybrid, so kind of like a 7 iron loft. So they've really spread the lofts up. So no matter what kind of player style or swing speed, you've got a club head there that you can get elevated, whether it's out of rough, for the more kind of moderate speed players, some of the mid-irons now, they don't flight, they don't spin enough. So a lofted hybrid is really a way to get that ball airborne. Within the hosel positions, they've got 8 positions also there as well. I think I said 8 lofts, I've gone over, I was thinking of the hosel position. It's the hosel position, they've got 8 different settings. So they've got standard, 1 degree up, 1 degree down, 1.5 degrees up, 1.5 degrees down, but then also where a lot of the hosel settings tend to move into an upright position, with Ping, with all of their woods, they move into a flatter lie position. So you've got flat and standard, flat and 1 degree down in loft, and flat and 1 degree up in loft. So what that helps to achieve is it helps just to turn that toe down and hold, the gearing hold it a little bit straighter, so gear against the left-hand side. Historically, a lot of hybrids have tended to sit quite toe up, which actually leaves you not a lot of the face to make contact with. So by having the flatter lie setting, you've got more of the face down at the ball, which helps you to get more of the face onto the bottom of the ball and get the flight up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a bit of data with it, talk about how it performs, the kind of swing style that often suits it, but also look at how, as we change the loft settings, what that does to flight. So I've historically always been a long iron player, so hybrids are not something I have in my bag too much. I've always been a 2-iron player. But there's something that we're seeing, with where iron lofts and shot strengths have gone, we're seeing more and more of a requirement for your kind of normal club player to put a hybrid in the bag to bridge from a 6-7 iron into the woods at the top end and keep flight. So we'll get a couple of shots in the standard position for this. So this is the 19 degree, so 5-wood equivalent. So first thing to note with it, it's ping, so they really geared around consistent. It's a very stable head. I might just quit on that one because that was really good. Very, very stable across the face. You don't notice a lot of twisting of the head. So actually to strike with, you feel like you can get away with a little bit off of it. Let's get another one there. So a little bit lower on the face there. So what we'll see there is the launch angles come down a little bit, spins up a little bit. So we're maintaining, at least we're keeping that carry element to it. That's one of the key things for these clubs, is if you're playing a long iron, they come out very low, they lose spin. If you catch it low on the face, it tends to knuckle a little bit. What we want these heads to do is to keep that ball airborne, and certainly, with the face extending a little bit lower and that sort of spinsistency element to it, that's really what they're targeting. So I would say this head, because of the nature of the design, the deeper back, a little bit more wood-like profile, tend to see someone who's slightly shallow, a little bit more of a sweeper, tend to get the best strikes off of this. If you get too steep on it, hit down it a lot, where that weight sits back, it's a little bit shallower, it can tend to pop up the face and come off a little bit weak, which is where the slightly smaller head of the G410 was very good for. So what they've done is they've created a nice sort of counterpoint to it, but certainly suits a slightly different swing style. So really, if I try to kind of go in shallow and pick it a little bit, we should, one, really see it pick that flight up. But from a strike point of view, that's when you tend to feel like you get the best out of the club. So 1 degree down an angle of attack, which is quite shallow, but picks up 13 degrees of launch. What we can see there, and this is where this head differed from the 410, is that the data for that shot, if that's visible on the screen, that's 3-4 on spin, 3,400 revolutions. That's quite a strong flight. So what's been noticeable with this product is that where 410 maintained a little bit of spin, this one comes out a bit, the top of the flight's a bit flatter, so it's got a little bit more go to it. So a little bit stronger in terms of base flight. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put the loft all the way down, and then we'll put it all the way up, and just see how different that, what kind of difference in terms of flight and spin that gives us, just to give an indication of how much you can tune the flight up and down here. And really with hybrids in particular, it's really about choosing the right head style to suit your delivery, but also the shot type that you want. So I would generally feel for the 425, a player wanting a little bit of a stronger distance, a little bit of a flatter top to the flight, a little bit more, or not quite chase out, but a little bit more of a penetrating flight. That's generally where this head works really well. So turn loft right down on this. Covered it a little bit, so it might exaggerate the launch angle slightly. Let's come out a little bit lower there. I'll do one more just because that was slightly low on the face. That was hit. So you can see 11 odd launch, but where the neutral hit was 13 and 3-4 on spin, spin's come down 400 revs. Launch angle's down a little bit. That's almost 3-wood like in terms of spin. So you can often get, when you get the loft low on some hybrids, like that for example, if I didn't like playing fairway woods, that's actually a pretty punchy ball flight. That gives a lot of flight strength. So that's really giving quite a very, very strong shot pattern. It was down at 3-wood spin there. So I'm going to turn the hosel around and pick it maximum loft. So in principle we're talking about the best part of a 3-degree, just make sure that's tight enough, a 3-degree change in loft. So we should see quite a different ball flight. What it also does is you change the loft, you're also going to change the face angle a little bit. So any of these adjustable hosels, if you add loft, you're going to turn the face, or for a right hand, it's going to face left a little bit more, be a bit more draw biased. If you turn loft down, it's going to open the face a little bit and be a little bit more fade bias. So you can pick higher loft turn down or lower loft turn up to try to influence face angle as well and create the same loft. So this one up in the highest loft position here. So, I mean, nice square contact there. What we're seeing there is launch angles going up 2.7, 2.8 degrees up to 13.8 degrees in launch from 11, and spin at 4.4. So it's picked up 1400 revs of spin. I'll do one more just to make sure we get, give it a fair test, but you can see there, very, very different spin profile. Got that a little higher up the face, so that's going to launch a little higher. Yeah, so that was a little higher up the face, so it took a bit of spin off, but you can see where that launch angle's up to. So strike points affected the spin on that last one a little bit, but you can really, you know, change the ball flight quite a lot. You know, with any of the ones with an adjustable hosel, you can make fairly significant changes to ball flight. You know, with this one, we're seeing a good 2.5 degrees of launch, considering it's a 3-degree change, you'd hope to achieve it that kind of amount. But with the previous shot, if I go back to those last two in terms of data, this one was, you know, pretty neutral on the strike. Best part of 14 launch and 4,400 revs on spin, 216 carry. And then in the lowest loft position, we picked up 2 miles an hour ball speed, but that on its own would be about 3 to 4 yards. But we're now down to 3,000 spin, 11 launch and 229 carry. So picked up 14, 15 yards of carry just by utilising the loft positions. Because you get such a broad spread of spin as you change the loft, anytime you're taking centre of gravity back from the face, the more you change loft, the more you're changing that centre of gravity position. So, you know, as you turn the loft down and up, you can see how much that, granted exaggerated loft changes, but you can see how much that backside's moving up and down. So you can change that flight profile really quite a lot. But overall, as I say, I think to kind of summarise overall with the 425 hybrid, very, very, you know, good ball speed off of it. Naturally quite a strong flight, so you're generally going to find, you know, it on the stronger side on spin, as in lower, a little bit lower on spin, so it's slightly flatter top to the flight. Great adjustability with the hosel position, and particularly those who don't like to see the toe picking up with that flat lie position, you can keep that toe sat a little bit more neutrally. But a very forgiving head. As I say, I think overall, someone who's generally slightly more towards the sort of the wood side of the orientation, slightly shallower through, a little bit more of a picker of the ball, slightly, in the main is going to enjoy this product slightly more, because that's when you really start to see the flight pick up. But great ball speed, good across the face performance, and very, very user-friendly product.